I'm Mrs. Stewart-Mays, and I'm excited to read to you one of my favorite books, Michelle by Deborah Hopkinson and illustrated by A.G. Ford. Ready? Michelle Robinson Obama became the First Lady of the United States on January 20th, 2009, just 3 days after her 40th birthday. On that historic inauguration day, Michelle's husband, Barack Obama, took the oath of office, pledging to lead the nation into a new birth of freedom. By his side stood Michelle, smart and sure. Michelle, proud wife and mother, loving daughter, sister and friend. An ordinary girl who grew up to do extraordinary things. This is her story. Michelle was born in the heart of winter on the south side of Chicago. Chicago can be a cold, windy place, but Michelle's parents, Frazier and Marion, made a warm and loving home for their baby girl and her big brother Craig. Frazier Robinson was proud that his job operating pumps at the water plant could support his family. Michelle knew how hard her dad worked and looked up to him from the time she was little. Even after she got big, Michelle loved to sit on his lap, resting her head on his shoulder. Marion Robinson believed in education and taught Craig and Michelle to read by the time they were 4. Since homework came first, she was strict about television, just an hour a day. But Michelle still managed to memorize whole episodes of her favorite show, The Brady Bunch. From her father, Michelle learned courage. She watched him go to work cheerfully each day, even after he developed multiple sclerosis, a disease that made it hard for him to walk. From her mother, Michelle learned to ask questions, to think. Her mom taught her to believe in herself, to learn from mistakes, to follow her heart, and to get things done. From both her parents, Michelle learned to dream big. Michelle's parents hadn't been to college, but they wanted their children to have that chance. Saving for education came first, even if it meant they lived simply in a 1-bedroom apartment on Euclid Avenue. They divided the living room to make separate spaces for Michelle and Craig, with a small shared area for reading and studying. The Robinsons might not have had a fancy house, but they had one another. The family ate dinner together at night. Michelle loves macaroni and cheese. They enjoyed reading and playing games, Monopoly, Chinese checkers, and card games. But Craig had to watch out. That spunky little sister he called Mish sure loved to beat him. That was Michelle. As her mom always said, Michelle wanted to be the best. Going away to college might have seemed a big dream for a working class girl from the South Side. But Michelle knew how to stick with things, whatever it took, and she never gave up. From the time she was little, Michelle worked hard at school, even skipping 2nd grade. In 6th grade, she entered a special class for gifted students. She graduated from 8th grade as salutatorian, 2nd in her class. Her hard work earned Michelle a place at one of the best schools in Chicago, Whitney M. Young Magnet High School. It meant a long trip each way, an hour-and-a-half ride each day. But Michelle didn't complain. She just studied on the bus, and she made the honor roll each year. When it came time to apply to college, Michelle aimed high. No matter what anyone said, she made up her mind that if her big brother could get accepted at Princeton, one of the top universities in the country, so could she. And she was. Michelle did well at Princeton University, but sometimes on campus, in a sea of white faces, she wondered if a South Side girl like her really belonged. Michelle wondered, too, where her path and her dreams would take her next. Eager to keep learning, Michelle went on to graduate from Harvard Law School. Then she returned home to Chicago for her first job as a lawyer. At the law firm, she was asked to advise a Harvard law student who had been hired for the summer. His name was, you guessed it, Barack Obama. Barack seemed to know right away that Michelle was the one for him. He urged her to give him a chance, winning her over with a visit to the Art Institute of Chicago, a movie, and best of all, ice cream. He made her laugh and drove her around in his old car with a hole in the floor. But mostly he won her heart by sharing her vision of hope and change. Michelle fell in love, realizing there was something special about this handsome young man with the unusual name. Barack proposed to Michelle at a fancy restaurant. To Michelle's surprise, the engagement ring arrived with the dessert. Michelle and Barack were married on October 3rd, 1992. Michelle's mom and brother were at her wedding, but her dad had died in 1991. Michelle's dad had always encouraged her to give back, and about this time, Michelle decided to make a big change. She left the law firm to work in community service. Down to earth, bright, and practical, Michelle had always been able to get things done. Now she used her talents to take on some big, important jobs. She trained young community leaders, encouraged university students to volunteer, and helped improve health care for families on Chicago's South Side. Michelle loved her new work and succeeded at whatever she set out to do. She realized that working for others was what she wanted most. She was living her own dreams by making things better for the community she loved. Michelle had another dream too, to be a mother. Malia was born 1998 and Sasha in 2001. Michelle and Barack devoted themselves to being good parents with their daughters. When the girls were little, Barack was often gone, serving in the Illinois State Senate in Springfield. That sometimes made it hard for Michelle to balance her own job with being a mom. But when things got tough, Michelle found a way to get things done. She made plans and got organized. She turned to her mother, who was always there when Michelle needed her for help and support. Marion Robinson loved picking up the girls from school and being a part of their lives. And of course, Malia and Sasha helped too by making their beds and doing their chores. Did I show you all this picture? Michelle had sometimes wondered if politics was the best way to make things better. Yet she realized Barack was a true leader, the kind America needed. So Michelle worked to help Barack run for the United States Senate when he got the chance to make a speech to the whole nation. Barack's words of hope and courage electrified people everywhere. Soon he was off to Washington, D.C. as a new senator. Sometimes dreams take us places we never imagined. Just a couple of years later, under a bright, cold winter sky, Michelle found herself beside Barack at the old state capitol in Springfield, Illinois. There, where Abraham Lincoln had once stood to speak, Barack Obama announced that he would run for president. In the long, hard months that followed, millions of people across the country took up Barack's rallying cry of change. Yes, we can. While Malia and Sasha stayed home with their grandmother, Michelle made short trips to help Barack campaign, speaking to crowds, both large and small. Michelle spoke about possibilities of her own dreams as a girl from a working class family and the confidence of her parents had given her to make good choices. Michelle spoke of how each child in America deserved a chance to excel and of the need to make life better for struggling families. Michelle listened too. She listened as people shared their fears and hopes and their trust that Barack could bring all Americans together. And when the people voted, they were young and old, women and men. They came from farms and cities, from small towns and mountain villages, from islands and deserts. They were of many races and religions. They were Americans. On November 4th, 2008, Barack Obama was elected the 44th President of the United States. Michelle and Barack had made history. And on this night of new beginnings, Michelle stood ready to keep working hard to help her own children and families across America make their big dreams come true. And so it was on that day, January 20th, 2009, inauguration night, all eyes turned to her, tall and graceful, bold and beautiful, Michelle Obama, First Lady of the United States of America. Thank you for listening, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I did. I also want to have a special thank you to my daughter, Courtney Mays, for videoing this for me.